Two smartly dressed men walked into one of the most exclusive jewelry stores in London. Minutes later, they walked out with £40 million in diamonds. The security cameras caught it all. But there was a problem. The faces they recorded were not the robbers' real faces at all. Because before the heist, the men had visited a professional makeup artist. This is the story of the Graff Diamonds robbery. Welcome to Curio Hour, where we uncover the strange, the unsolved, and the unforgettable. Today's story: the Graff Diamonds robbery. Our story takes place in London in August of 2009, in the heart of Mayfair, one of the wealthiest districts in the entire world. There on New Bond Street stood a branch of Graff Diamonds, a jeweler famous for selling some of the rarest and most expensive gems on earth to the global elite. Graff is known for handling extraordinary stones, diamonds worth millions of pounds each, the kind owned by royalty, celebrities, and the super rich. A store like this is, of course, heavily protected. Reinforced displays, security staff, panic buttons, and cameras covering every angle. And yet, this was not the first time Graff had been targeted. The very richness of its stock made it a magnet for the most ambitious thieves in the world. The gang that struck in 2009 understood that brute force alone would not be enough. To beat the cameras, they needed to become different people entirely. And so they turned to a tool more often found on a film set than in a robbery: professional theatrical makeup. Before the heist, the two men who would enter the store visited a makeup artist, reportedly under the pretense of being filmed for a music video. Over several hours, the artist applied detailed prosthetics and makeup, subtly altering the shape and features of their faces, complete with wigs and careful styling. Layers of latex changed the lines of their cheeks and noses. Skin tone was adjusted, hairlines reshaped. By the end, the men in the mirror were strangers, even to themselves. The result was a convincing transformation. The men who would appear on the security cameras would look nothing like their true selves. It was a clever and unusual move. Even if the cameras captured them perfectly, the faces on the footage would lead investigators nowhere. Dressed in sharp, expensive suits, the two disguised men looked exactly like the wealthy clients Graff was used to serving. They blended in perfectly. This was crucial. To rob a place like Graff, you first have to get through the door, and the door only opens for those who look like they belong. With their disguises in place and their fine clothes on, the pair approached the store, were buzzed inside, and the trap was set in motion. For a few moments, they were simply two more wealthy customers, admiring the dazzling stones on display. And then the robbery began. The men drew handguns and revealed their true purpose. The polite customers became armed robbers in an instant, taking control of the store. They moved quickly and methodically, knowing exactly which display cases held the most valuable stones, sweeping the finest diamonds into bags. In just a few minutes, they gathered an astonishing haul. Around £40 million worth of jewelry, including dozens of priceless rings, necklaces, and gems. They took some of the finest stones in the entire store, the kind of pieces that take years to source and craft, swept away in a matter of moments. It was one of the largest gem robberies in British history. And the gang was not finished being clever. As they prepared to leave, the robbers took a member of staff hostage briefly, using her as cover to get safely out of the store and onto the street. Once outside, they released her, and to add to the chaos and cover their escape, one of them fired a shot into the air. The gunshot sent the busy Mayfair street into panic, buying the robbers precious seconds as they made for their getaway vehicle. They had a series of getaway cars arranged, planning to switch vehicles to throw off any pursuit, a classic technique of professional crews. With £40 million in diamonds, they sped away from the scene, vanishing into the streets of London. The robbery itself had gone almost flawlessly. But the getaway, as so often happens, is where things began to go wrong. Because no plan, however clever, survives perfect contact with chaos. In the confusion of the escape and vehicle switches, the careful choreography started to break down, and the gang began to leave traces behind. A robbery can be planned for months in advance, but the getaway happens in real time, in traffic, in panic, with everything moving at once. It is the moment where even the best-laid plans tend to fall apart. The police investigation that followed was massive. A £40 million robbery in the heart of London demanded an enormous response. At first, the disguises seemed to have worked. The faces on the security footage did not match any known criminals. The makeup had done its job. But a heist is about far more than just faces. And the gang, in the rush of the getaway, had left behind the kind of evidence no disguise could hide. Inside the abandoned getaway vehicles, and at other points along the escape route, investigators found physical traces. The kind that modern forensic science lives for. Most importantly, the gang had made a classic, fatal mistake. They had left behind a mobile phone. A dropped phone is a goldmine for investigators. It can reveal contacts, calls, locations, and connections, peeling back the layers of a criminal network. The phone left behind in the Graff Getaway gave the police a vital thread. And once they had a thread, they began to pull. The phone records and forensic evidence began to point toward specific individuals, linking them to the robbery despite the elaborate disguises. The makeup had fooled the cameras, but it could not erase the digital and forensic footprints the gang had left scattered behind them. Slowly, the investigation closed in. The men behind the masks were identified, one by one, despite never having shown their true faces in the store. Arrests followed. The members of the gang were tracked down and taken into custody, the elaborate scheme beginning to come apart. The evidence was strong. Forensics, phone data, and careful detective work tied the suspects to the robbery, despite all their efforts at concealment. The robbers were brought to trial, convicted, and handed long prison sentences for the audacious heist. It was a striking lesson. They had defeated the cameras with a brilliant disguise, but a single dropped phone and the traces of the getaway had been enough to undo them. Their cleverness in one area had been matched by carelessness in another. And in the world of high-stakes crime, one mistake is usually all it takes. But for all the convictions, the story ends, as so many great heists do, with a haunting absence. The diamonds. The vast majority of the £40 million in stolen jewels was never recovered. The diamonds had vanished within hours of the robbery. Loose gems and recut diamonds are nearly impossible to trace. By the time the arrests were made, the stones were almost certainly long gone, sold into the underworld. A diamond, once cut down and reset, becomes a brand new stone with no history. The £40 million in gems effectively ceased to exist, scattering into jewelry boxes around the world. Despite catching the robbers, the police could not recover the prize. The fortune in diamonds simply melted away into the global market, untraceable. The Graff Diamonds robbery remains one of the most spectacular gem heists in British history. A masterclass in disguise and audacity. Undone in the end not by the cameras they had so cleverly fooled, but by the ordinary, careless mistakes of the escape. A perfect disguise, a £40 million prize, and a dropped phone that brought it all crashing down. The Graff Diamonds robbery,